Hello everyone, I'm going to explain you quickly how hypervisors work. There are two types of hypervisors, type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is a bare metal hypervisor, which basically you have a physical computer and you install a piece of software which is very lightweight. It's like 300-400 MB, not more than that. It's like a kernel really, which runs on top of the physical hardware. And what it does is basically it directly interacts with the CPU memory and the network resources available in here. So which essentially what computer needs really. So on top of that you install the virtual machines. They can come in any sizes, obviously depending how much CPU and memory you allocate to them. So obviously as I have mentioned in the examples here, we have VMware ESX as a bare metal hypervisor, Microsoft Hyper-V, Citrix Zen Server, Linux, KVM. Now when it comes to type 2 hypervisor, it gets a little bit complicated, where you have the guest OS, which is actually responsible for all the resources, and then the type 2 hypervisor is a hosted hypervisor which runs on top of the OS which you are running on your laptop or any computer, any server which you have, physical server. So what happens then is it's basically the hosted hypervisor is on mercy of the host operating system, how much resources it gives. So that's why it's not very efficient. The performance and everything, it is running, the hardware is running an OS, and on top of that is the hypervisor, which is why it's not the best hypervisor. But again, for the purpose of this video, obviously it's good. It's a good emulator of a virtual machine. There are quite a few out there in the market. The one which I personally like and which is free for use in office and also personal personal use as well is Oracle Virtualbox. The other ones which you might have heard about, Microsoft Virtual PC, then there's also VMware Workstation, VMware Player. So there are quite a few as you can see here. So I want to show you quickly how we do this. If I launch Oracle Virtualbox, so that's it, it's launching now. I have quite a few computers here. So to create a new computer, you just say new, and you select which computer which virtual machine you want to create. So obviously there's a new terminology you need to understand here is what is a virtual machine. So virtual machine is basically essentially a computer, but it's virtual, it's not physical. That's why it's called a virtual machine. So we select Microsoft OS. In this example I'm going to install a 2016. There you go, a 2016 64-bit. That's the one I need. Wow, 2016, we didn't have this one earlier, but I think test 2016 earlier, the ones I built I used 2012, but now they have hardware available for 2016. So the version when you select, basically it's a grounding for the virtual hardware, which will basically mean, okay, you're running a Windows machine or a Linux machine, and if it's a Windows, what level of virtual hardware Virtualbox need to give, the Oracle Virtualbox need to give. So whether it's a 64-bit CPU or a 32-bit. Well, as you know, obviously from 2010 and 2012 onwards, it's going to be 64-bit only. So say next, and then you can select the memory, which is the random access memory. You can set it here and then say next. I want to create a virtual hard drive. We can add existing one if you had one, which is option 1. For this video I'm going to create a new virtual disk, and then obviously these are different formats which we have. So I want to obviously keep it limited to Virtualbox itself, or I can have a VHD which is for Microsoft and VMDK which is for VMware. But if I only want, so I would rather keep this VMDK because I would export this to my VMware environment. Dynamic allocate, always do this. Always don't say fixed size, it will take away 50 gig from your hard drive immediately. So if you select dynamic, it will grow as in how you start using your machine, how you start copying data. So say next, and that's how much allocation we have given. I would reduce it to 25, and then that's it. So that's your virtual machine created. Now for the purpose of this video, I have already if I turn this on, I have already downloaded a 2016 ISO, which should be somewhere here. As you can see, it's available work area ISO. So basically you can go to Microsoft and download a free version, which is 180 days evaluation version ISO, and then you can start the virtual machine. Once it is started, you can see the virtual hardware, the virtual BIOS is now booting, and the setup is now continuing. So I'm going to pause this till the files are loaded, and then eventually I'll take you through the setup of 2016 server. So I'll just give it a couple of seconds, so wait for the files to be loaded. Okay, so we have got the first screen after it has booted.
Yeah.
So it selects, you need to select United States.
What?
You need to select United Kingdom, yeah, and then say next, and then basically install now, and then once you click install now, it will ask us, do you want to format, or do you want to upgrade or customize? So let's wait for that option to come up.
So then I'll do my hair, because it's still wet.
I'm going to pause here for a quick movement so that don't increase the length of this video. So ISO has been detected, and it has quite a few flavors. So I want with the desktop experience, standard edition with desktop experience. So obviously you can see there are two flavors now. One is the core edition, which comes up as, you know, without the desktop experience, and one is the desktop experience one. But there is also two flavors in here, standard edition and a data center edition. They are the two flavors, and the flavors with GUI and CLI, which is the one without the name, evaluation without desktop experience, is the one which is the core, but now they stopped calling it core now. So if you say next,
Yeah, I found another one. What?
you just need to accept the end user agreement. Over here, upgrade is not an option, it's a fresh installation, so you need to say customize. On here it says 25 GB hard drive, which is the virtual disk I gave. I would say new and apply, so that it creates a MBR for, you know, the master boot records, and then it should come up with a 500 MB partition there. That's it, that's the system partition, and this is where we are going to install the OS. You can go ahead and format it, but then if you say next, it will do it anyway. So here you go, it's starting to copy the files now, and once it's done, it will ask for an admin password, and that's it, you're done with it. So I'll pause the video now to let it install, and then we can resume it later.